Okay, good morning class. Today we're going to go over rounding. Again, you will recognize this paper because we did it yesterday, but we were struggling, so we're going to go over briefly how to round again, because today we're also going to be looking at word problems that have to do with estimating. Now, who remembers what it means to estimate? Bryson? Oh, the rounded number? Like this? Okay. So an estimate means that you're going to round the numbers before you add or subtract, okay? It means it wants the close answer, not the exact answer, okay? So when you hear that word estimate, think rounding, okay? So we're going to practice rounding again before we get into the word problems. Now this whole side was rounding to the tens, right class? Okay, so every single one of these you should have been looking at what digit to decide whether to round up or down. What place value? Aaliyah? Okay, we start at the tens and then you look next door at the, what's next door? What place is next door? Kelsey?
The ones place?
The ones place. So on every single one of these, you should have been looking at the ones digit to tell you whether you round up or down. So in this one, I'm highlighting the 8 because that's what's going to tell me to round up or down and when I'm rounding to the tens, the ones place. So since it's an 8, am I going to round up or down?
Up.
Up. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a different way than yesterday because yesterday we seemed to be struggling. So I'm going to try a different strategy. Now when you round up, you're going to add 1 to the tens place or whatever place you're rounding to. Okay? Since I'm rounding to the tens, I'm going to take that 3 and add 1. So what does that 3 become? 4. Okay? So the numbers behind become a 0. The numbers in front stay the same. Okay, so it rounds up to 740. Let me show you that again. Okay, we're looking at the ones place. So a 9, does that tell me to round up or down?
Up.
Up. Now when we round up, we're going to add 1 to our tens digit. So if this is a 1 in the tens place, what does it become, Gregory?
That 1 becomes it becomes a 2.
A 2. We just go up 1. So we go up to a 2, and then the numbers behind become a 0.
Yes.
Okay, let's try it on number 5. We're looking at the ones place, so I'm going to highlight the ones digit. It's a 6, so am I going to round up or down?
Up. I mean, yeah.
Up. Okay, so when I round up, I'm going to add 1 to the place I'm rounding to. I'm rounding to the 10, so I'm going to add 1 to the 0. So the 0 now is what?
A 7.
0 plus 1 is 7? Oh my goodness.
I thought you were talking about the 6.
No, the tens place. It turns into a 1. The numbers behind become what? 0. Numbers in front stay the same. Okay? I want you to try number 8 with that strategy. Look at the ones place. Huh? If you're already getting them right, then you can keep doing the same strategy, okay? This is just a different way in case you're confused. Do it this way because we've been getting them wrong. A lot of us are getting them wrong. Okay? So 68, tell me what that rounds to and we'll check it together. I know some of you have already got the rounding down, so if you already have it down and you're getting these right, then you can move on in the video, and you can move on in the problems here in class. Okay, so let's check and see what you got. Ooh. So we're looking at the ones digit, and the ones digit tells me to round which way? Up. Good. Now when I round up, that means I'm going to add 1 to the place that I'm rounding to, the tens place, since we're rounding to the tens. So 6 becomes 7, and the numbers behind turn to a 0. Now let's look at a rounding up using that strategy for the hundreds. If I'm rounding to the nearest hundred, let's just look at number 8 over here on this side.
Let's go on the other side.
Huh?
The other side of the number.
There is no other number, it's just 68. So you don't put anything in front, is that what you mean? Oh, you mean what is it between?
Number 5.
Okay, let's just try this one right here. 898. This time we're rounding to the hundreds place. So we start at the hundreds and look next door. Okay, this 9 is what we're looking at. Rounding to the hundreds, so we start at the hundreds place and look next door. If it's a 9, am I going to round up or down?
Up.
Up. Now every time we add up, we need to go up 1 in our place that we're rounding to. If I'm rounding to the hundreds, I need to add 1 to the hundreds place. So what does this 8 become?
A 9.
A 9. Then everything behind the hundreds place becomes a what?
0.
0. So we have 2 zeros behind it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Do y'all like this way better than the other way?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. What about rounding down? Let's look at the one right above it. Start at the hundreds place, look next door. It's a 2. So am I going to round up or down?
Down.
Down. Okay? Now when we round down, this hundreds place stays the same. We don't need to add 1 because we're not rounding up. We just want it to stay the same. Okay? So when you round down, you don't need to do anything. This 1 stays the same. Then everything behind it becomes what? What is it, Javea? 0. Good. Okay, so that one should have rounded down to 100.
Huh? I thought that side was down.
It is, but I'm just showing you on the right. All the answers I'm writing are on the right. Okay?
How do you do this 1,000?
It would be on this side, she says. That's right, but we're not really focusing on which side. We're just focusing on how to round. Okay? What did you say, Bryson?
Go down on the page. There's 1,000 right here.
Okay, you wanted to look at that one? He wants to look at the one with 1,000, but I'm still rounding to the hundreds place. Okay? So we start at the hundreds, which is the 3, and look next door. It's a 5. So does the 5 tell me to round up or down? Up. So when we add up, or when we round up, we're going to add 1 to the place we're rounding to. What place am I rounding to?
Tens.
No. Hundreds place. So the 3 needs to become what? 4. Everything behind it becomes 0. What do I do with this 1? We leave it. 1,400. Okay, so notice when you're rounding to the tens, how many zeros did we end up with at the back of it? 1. You should always have at least 1 0. Sometimes it's 2 if it rounds up to the next 100, but most of the time you're going to have 1 0 when you round to the tens. When you round to the hundreds place, you're going to have how many zeros? 2. Okay, that's because you're starting at the hundreds place, then everything else needs to turn to a 0. Okay, we will go over this more. I'm probably going to pull small groups and work with you more one-on-one to go over more rounding, okay? Because it's very important when we get into word problems with estimating, okay? Now set this to the side. What we're going to go over now is estimating sums, some word problems. So you need to get out your workbook, volume 1. Turn to page 112. We're going to do the back of this. 112.
Volume 1.
Volume 1, 112. Okay, so estimating word problems. When we're doing word problems, we need to make sure that we're doing our IPAC strategies. Who remembers what the I stands for? Bryson? Information. So we need to find important information. What does a P stand for? Bryson? Plan. A is Aaliyah. Answer. So answer the problem using your plan. C is
Count.
check. So we learned how to check our answers yesterday for subtraction. So let's go through number 9 using our IPAC strategies. Who wants to read number 9? All right, Kelsey.
Cal has $42. He gets $25 from his grandparents for his birthday. Which of these statements shows the best estimate of the amount of money Cal has now?
Okay, so let's start with the information. One important thing I heard her as she read, I heard her read was estimate. So what does that mean when they have that in the question? Do we need the exact answer or do we need to round? Rounding. Okay, so when we estimate, that means we want about how much, not the exact. Okay, so some other important things were how much money, right? Cal has 42. Did we need to know that? Yes. He gets 25 from his grandparents. Do we need to know that? Yes. If he gets $25 more, that means we're going to combine those two, right? They want to know how much money he has now. Okay, so we need to take our two amounts, 42 and 25, and round them. Okay, so 42, I'm going to look at the ones place. Is 2 tell me to round up or down? Down. So remember, if we round down, this front number stays the same. The numbers behind become 0. Good. So I can already see 2 answers I can eliminate, right? Which 2? Just call it out. Which 2 can I eliminate? A and B. Very good. How'd you know, Kaylee?
Because it has a 50, but we have a 40.
Good. It has a 50 on those, and we need a 40. At least one 40. Neither one of these have a 40. Okay. Now 25. Okay, so I have 40 and 25. So which makes more sense? To add 25 or 40?
40.
For our second number. Would we want to change 25 to 40 or keep it at 25?
Keep it at 25.
Keep it at 25. Okay? And that adds up to 65. So that's what we want. D would be the best estimate of how much money he has now. So out of the answer choices, this would have been the best. Is this the only way we can estimate?
No.
No, because we could have actually changed 25 to 30, and that's still a good way to estimate. But this is the best answer choice that was given, okay? All right, going on to number 10.
Sorry.
Kaylee, you want to read this time? Mr. Avery's fundraiser, Bolero's class, fundraiser. Estimate.
For the total of
Amount.
both classes received.
Okay, so our question says, which of these statements shows the best estimate of the total amount both classes raised? Okay, I heard like 3 keywords in the question. Who can tell me one keyword that they heard? Kelsey?
Total amount?
Total. Good. Is estimate important?
Yes.
Yes, because we're going to be rounding and not finding the exact answer. Both is also a keyword because that means you're going to add. Okay? But we don't want to just add the real numbers. We want to add the estimated numbers. So I'm going to write these over to the side and we're going to estimate. Okay? Now, I'm going to look real quickly over at my answer choices before I begin estimating because I notice out of the 4 answer choices, what are they rounding to? The hundreds or the tens? What'd they round to here? The hundreds. What'd they round to here? Hundreds. What'd they round to here? Hundreds. So do we think it might be smart to round these to the hundreds?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to start at the hundreds place. Look next door. The 1 tells me to round up or down? Down. Very good. So if I round down, that means the hundreds digit stays the same. Everything else becomes 0. Okay. Now I go to the second number. Since we're rounding to the hundreds, we start at the hundreds digit. Look next door, it's an 8. Does the 8 tell me to round up or down? Up. Now this time, if I'm rounding up, I need to add 1 to my hundreds digit. So what does this become? 2, and everything else turns to a 0. So 100 plus 200 is 300. Okay? So, Kaylee says it would be A. Do y'all agree with her?
Yes.
Yes. It has the same rounded numbers and the same answer. Make sure you always check the answer too, because sometimes they like to trick you and put the wrong answer down here. Okay? So A is correct. Alright, I want you guys to try number 11 on your own. Then we'll do number 12. And we might stop there, okay? So let's go ahead and try 11 on our own, and then we'll check it. Which is the best estimate of the total number of students in kindergarten and first grade at Wayside Elementary, okay? So we need to make sure that we're using kindergarten and first grade from the table. So I go over here, I find kindergarten and first grade. And what do we have to do with these 2 numbers?
Estimate.
Estimate, okay? Good, we're still estimating, so that means we need to round these 2. Okay, I take a quick glance over at my answer choices and I see most of them are rounded to the what? To the hundreds place. So I'm going to do that with my numbers. Start at the hundreds place, look next door. Does the 8 tell me to round up or down? Up. Okay, so that means this hundreds digit needs to go up, right? So we add 1 and it becomes a 2. What happens to the numbers behind? Zeros. Okay? Same thing here. Start in the hundreds place. Look next door. 0 tells me to round down. Now this one, guys, just use your common sense. It's 203. It is only 3 away from what? 200. That's really close. Okay? So, I mean, if you had put something else, it would have been way far away. Like 300. That's 97 away. That's too far. Okay? So we would round down. What that means is this hundreds digit stays the same. Everything else becomes a 0. Now just use your common sense too. Like if you put 500 here, because I don't know, maybe you added 1 here and set it to the hundreds and you put 900. Would that make sense? Is 900 close to 187?
No.
No. It's nowhere near it. Okay? So just think about it, guys. Use your common sense. If you put 900, that is nowhere near 187. That's the whole point of rounding, right? Is you get close to it. Okay? Same thing here. If you had accidentally put, I don't know, 400, is that close to 200?
No.
No, it's not close. Okay, so we add these up. You should have gotten 400, which is C.
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and go over number 12, and then we will be done, and you guys are going to go on to your assignment. Number 12 is a multi-step, so that means you're going to have more than one thing you have to do. It says, which is the best estimate of the total number of students in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade at Wayside Elementary? Okay, so again, we're estimating, and we're finding the total, which means what?
More.
No, total doesn't mean more. Total means add. Good. So we have 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. So here's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Okay? I take a quick glance at my answer choices. They're all rounded to the hundreds, so I'm going to do the same thing with my numbers. So that means I need to start where if I'm rounding to the hundreds place? Kelsey? The first digit? This one?
Yes.
Okay, so the hundreds place. Don't just say first, because what if I had a thousands place here? Then we don't want to start at the thousands. We always start at the hundreds when we round to the hundreds. Look next door. So the 8 tells me to round up. So the 3 needs to become what?
A 4.
4. What happens to the numbers behind it? 0. Okay, next one. Start at the hundreds place and look next door. 3 tells me to round
Down.
down. So we do nothing to the hundreds place when we round down. It stays the same. Then everything behind it becomes a 0. Okay, 178. Start at the hundreds place. Look next door. 7 tells me to round up. So when I round up, I need to go back and add 1 to the hundreds. So now it should be what? 2. Good. Everything else becomes a 0.
2 0 2 0.
Okay, what's 2 plus 2? 4 plus 4? 8. 800. Very good, Aaliyah. So D was the correct answer on that.
Yay.
Okay, we're going to stop there. This one was actually pretty easy too. You just took the 800 and the 400, added those up. Okay. All right, if you're still struggling, we will be working on this a little bit more. You need to be practicing at home if you're struggling at home still. But your assignment today is going to be word problems that look like this. Okay, there's not very much space here, so if you need scratch sheet of paper to show your work, you may do that. And then make sure you go back and put your answer here. Those of you at home, if you're using scratch paper to show your work, you need to upload a picture. You will also have some problems on the back to do. It has some subtraction, and it has some word problems. Some are estimating, some are not estimating. Okay? All right. Any questions before we start? Kelsey?
Will this be hard?
Bryson?
I forgot.
Okay. All right. So boys and girls, don't forget to be posting your work in Seesaw, and I look forward to seeing your work.